Every evening at 8:30, Rajesh Pandey, a man living on the 8th floor, sat on his balcony with a drink in hand. It was his ritual, a quiet moment to unwind while gazing at the building across from him. On the same floor in that building, a single candle flickered every night, always at the same time. Through the soft glow, Rajesh could see the shadow of a woman moving gracefully in the room. He didn't know who she was, but watching that shadow had somehow become a part of his life. The shadow behind the curtain always moved in the same way, graceful, calm, predictable. Until tonight. The woman returned home, dropped her bag on the sofa, and went for the shower. A few minutes later, she reappeared, dressed and calm, walking toward the door. Then another shadow entered the room, a tall figure wearing a hooded sweatshirt. It was impossible to tell whether it was a man or a woman. Rajesh frowned. She never has visitors, he thought. This is odd. The two shadows began to talk, their gestures turning tense, then violent. The hooded figure grabbed the metal flower pot and struck the woman from behind. She collapsed instantly. Rajesh froze, his glass slipping from his hand. Within seconds, he grabbed his phone and called the CIB, the Central Investigation Bureau. Flashing lights and the sound of heavy boots filled the building corridor as CIB agents arrived. Agent Kritika Inamdar was leading the team. She was calm yet commanding. With her were the officers Vittal Deshmukh, Atul Shah, and Detective Tapan Thite, known for his sharp mind and lawyer's precision. Outside the building, Rajesh Pandey rushed toward them, still shaken. This is the building, he said. The murder happened on the 8th floor, but the security guard isn't letting me in. The watchman stepped in forward nervously. No one lives on the 8th floor, ma'am, he explained. Mr. Bide has the spare set, but he is not home. This flat is locked. Even if this man is telling the truth, how do I get the keys? Kritika pulled out her badge. We are from Central Investigation Bureau, she said. Take us there. The elevator opened with a faint buzz, and the crew stepped into the dark, silent floor. Tapan rang the bell of the flat, but there was no answer. Break it, Kritika ordered Vittal. With one solid kick, Vittal forced the door open. Hinges screeched, echoing down the hallway. Inside, the apartment was dimly lit. Two candles flickered on the small table. The air was heavy and still. Kritika turned on the lights. A gasp escaped from the watchman's mouth. That's Mrs. Sharma from the 4th floor. Atul bent down to check her pulse. She is gone, he said quietly. Vittal immediately began to collecting evidence. Atul took photographs documenting every inch of the crime scene. Meanwhile, Tapan knelt down beside the body, examining her closely. His eyes narrowed as he noticed traces of dirt under her fingernails. Without a word, he stood and walked toward the entrance, scanning the floor. Two flower pots sat near the door, both filled with soil but no plants. He noticed that one had soil spilled across the tiles. She took something from this spot, Tapan muttered, calling Kritika over. Maybe a house key, Kritika guessed. Maybe, or something else, Tapan replied. He walked back inside and stopped near a table by the door. A small box, speckled with dirt, rested on the top. Look at this, he said. The soil matches whatever was in this box. The killer wanted it. Kritika turned to Rajesh. Tell me exactly what you saw. Rajesh took a deep breath. I see her every day. Around 8 she lights a candle. Then she takes a bath, eats pizza, and relaxes on sofa. No one ever visited her until tonight. Vittal looked toward the watchman. Who come to meet her? Do we have a CCTV footage? The guard shook his head. The cameras are only in the lift and at the main gate, sir. Since no one lives on the 8th floor, there aren't any cameras here. Rajesh suddenly frowned, recalling something. Wait, if no one lives here, how come I saw lights in the flat next door? Vittal and Atul exchanged glances, then went to check. They knocked. No answer. The door was locked. Vittal forced it open, but the apartment was empty. Maybe the killer ran away from here, Vittal said. But if Mrs. Sharma had her own house in this building, why was she here? He asked again. Tapan's eyes drifted to the small details. A half read book, a pizza box, a blanket thrown on the sofa. She was hiding here, he said quietly. Kritika turned to him. Hiding? Why do you say that? Because she didn't want to go home, Tapan replied. Something or someone was waiting there she wanted to avoid. Maybe she just wanted some alone time, Kritika suggested. In someone else's apartment? Tapan countered. Silence filled the room. Kritika turned to the watchman. Bring her family here, she ordered. Minutes later, the watchman returned, bringing along Mrs. Sharma's husband, Jayesh. As soon as he saw the body, his face turned pale, his knees weakened, and he collapsed beside the doorway, sobbing uncontrollably. Kritika gave him a moment before speaking. Mr. Sharma, she said, we understand this is difficult, but we need your help. Did you know your wife used to spend time in this apartment? Jay shook his head in disbelief. No, I had no idea. She told me she was busy with a new project at the office, so she would be coming home late. Kritika studied his expression, grief mixed with confusion. How was your relationship with her? She asked. Jayesh wiped his eyes. We had some differences, arguments, but we were trying to work things out. I loved her. I still do. Tapan, who had been quietly observing, noticed subtle hesitation in Jay's tone. Not guilt, but something hidden. Kritika leaned forward slightly. Where were you at 8:30 tonight? I was at home, Jayesh replied, cooking dinner. Alone. Vittal jotted that down in his notebook, glancing at Tapan, who kept his gaze fixed on Jayesh's trembling hands. There was a silence for a moment, just the soft hum of ceiling fans and the faint sound of the city outside. Finally, Kritika gave a small nod. All right, Mr. Sharma. For now, you may go home, but don't leave city. We will call you again if needed. As Jayesh, escorted by an officer, Tapan turned to Kritika. He's scared. Kritika looked at him curiously. You think he's hiding something? Maybe, Tapan replied. But not the murder. Something else. Kritika folded her arms. Then we dig deeper. Vittal gathered the neighbors in the society garden. Kritika gave orders for the next formalities to the officers. Tapan kept looking at the body of Kavya lying on the floor. The flicker of candle still glowed faintly through the open window, dancing against the night air like a ghost of truth yet to come. When the CIB team gathered everyone from the building in the small garden below, the cool night breeze carried tension in the air. People whispered in confusion, fear, curiosity. Agent Kritika Inamdar stood in front, addressing the crowd. If anyone knows anything unusual you may have seen or heard tonight, please come forward. The residents exchanged glances, but no one spoke. The long silence hung in the garden before Kritika dismissed them. All right, everyone may go. We will be contacting you if needed. As people began dispersing, a small group of ladies stayed behind, whispering among themselves. Detective Tapan noticed their huddled conversation and walked toward them. Good evening, ladies. Tapan greeted politely. All heads turned toward him. A tall, well-built detective, sharp eyes, perfectly combed hair, and effortless charm immediately caught their attention. Their murmurs paused. The ladies exchanged admiring smiles. You seem to know the victim, Tapan said, probing for the truth. Was Mrs. Kavya Sharma part of your little group? Yes, Asha said. One of the victim's friend. We were her friends. We still can't believe this happened. Poor girl, sighed Mrs. D'Souza. First, her husband troubled her, and now this? Tapan tilted his head slightly. Troubled her? You mean their marriage wasn't good? Mrs. D'Souza leaned closer, clearly pleased by the attention. They used to fight almost every day. Loud shouting, things breaking. 2 months ago, he even smashed a glass in anger. She ran away that night, but her parents brought her back the next day. You have been very helpful, Mrs. D'Souza, Tapan said sincerely. Another woman spoke up. We heard she was found in one of those empty apartments on the 8th floor. Is that true? Tapan nodded. Yes. Do you have any idea what she might have been doing there? The woman exchanged uneasy looks. Finally, Mrs. Lalita Bhide said with a hint of attitude. Maybe Ankita knows. She was closer to Kavya. Ankita's eyes widened. I? I don't know anything, she said quickly, turning defensive. Mrs. Bide, your husband has the keys to those 8th floor flats. Maybe you should tell us why she was there. Does your husband go there too? I wonder what she was doing in such darkness. The other woman froze. The tension between Lalita and Ankita was clearly seen. Tapan stepped in smoothly. Oh, so you are Mrs. Lalita Bide, he said with a polite smile. The watchman mentioned you weren't home when we arrived. Where were you, if I may ask? You may call me Lalita, she said, forcing a calm smile. I was at an exhibition at Lakshmi Lawns. Tapan held her gaze for a moment. His instinct told him there was more behind that calm voice, but he didn't press. All right, ladies, he said finally. That's enough for tonight. If we need anything else, we will contact you. The group began to disperse again, but Mrs. D'Souza lingered. She walked closer to Tapan with a faint smile. Mr. Thite, I don't know if you remember me, she said. You are an advocate, right? You once won a case for my husband's company. Tapan smiled. Yes, I did. These days I am helping CIB as a consultant. Like a detective? She teased. He smiled again. Yes, like a detective. Mrs. D'Souza's eyes lit up. Our company is throwing a party tomorrow to celebrate a big success. You must come. My husband would be delighted to see you. I would love to, Tapan replied warmly. As he stepped away, Lalita Bhide stood near the lift, watching them from a distance. Her expression tense, her eyes unreadable. Later, as the team sat in the CIV car, Tapan looked out the window and said quietly, Mrs. Lalita Bhide is hiding something. The way she avoided my question. She is nervous. We need to find out what she is hiding. Kritika nodded, starting the car. Then let's make sure she sleeps. The engine roared to life and the car disappeared into the night, leaving behind a garden full of whispers. By the next evening, the CIB office buzzed with quiet intensity. Files lay scattered across the desk, coffee mugs half empty, and the faint hum of ceiling fans filled the air as the team placed together fragments of the murder. Vittal stepped forward, holding a report in his hand. The victim's call records are clean, he told Kritika. But there is something odd. Kavya's husband Jayesh was calling her repeatedly around the time of the murder. Kritika frowned. Anything else? Vittal nodded. Yes, the CCTV footage from the lift. He connected the footage to the large screen, showing Jayesh Sharma entering the lift, going downstairs around the time of murder took place. And then, minutes after the murder, he returned, calm, composed, as if nothing had happened. Kritika leaned forward. He said he was home, didn't he? Everyone in the room exchanged glances. They knew what that meant. Jayesh had lied. Kritika turned to Vittal. Did you ask the husband about his? Vittal nodded. Yes, boss. I went to their house for questioning. Jayesh said he suspected something was going on. He went to the terrace to relax and saw Kavya returning home. But when she didn't come inside, he went down looking for her. He didn't find her, so he came back. Pratika's eyes narrowed. After how long? Around 20 minutes, Vittal replied. Did he go to the 8th floor? She asked. Vittal shook his head. No, boss. From the 4th floor, he went straight down to the ground floor and then come directly back to the 4th. The lift camera confirms that. Atul leaned back his chair. Then he is telling the truth. Kritika sighed. Hmm. No, Atul. We can't say that yet. The staircase don't have cameras. He could have used them instead of the lift. We can rely solely on the footage. Vittal rubbed his forehead in frustration. In that case, the whole building is a suspect. Kritika looked at him. Exactly. That's why we need a motive before we chase the killer. She turned to the far end of the room. Tapan sat quietly, pen in hand, writing notes on the sheet of paper. The reflection of the monitor light flickered across his focused eyes. Tapan, Kritika called. What do you think? Tapan paused for a moment, then put his pen down. I think we will find the motive at tonight's party. He folded the paper he had been writing on, slipped it into the pocket of his suit jacket, and stood up. calm, composed, and ready. The others exchanged curious looks as Tapan walked toward the door. Something in his eyes suggested he already had a lead, a quiet assurance that next few hours would reveal more than anything expected. The evening sky had just turned golden when Tapan and Kritika arrived at Mrs. D'Souza's house. The faint hum of laughter and music floated through the open doors. Inside, a group of women sat around the dining table, eating and gossiping, the kind of harmless chatter that often hid a sharper truth behind the polite smiles. The moment Tapan entered, the atmosphere shifted. Conversations paused for just a second. His calm presence and confident stride carried a quiet authority, one that didn't need words. The ladies exchanged glances, whispering and smiling behind their glasses. Mr. and Mrs. D'Souza come forward to greet them warmly. Welcome, welcome, Agent Kritika and Mr. Tapan, said Mr. D'Souza. What should I call you? Advocate Tapan or Detective Tapan? Tapan smiled, handing him a bouquet. Right now I am working on CIB case, he said lightly. So Detective Tapan sounds better. Few polite laughs followed before the couple moved aside to let them in. At one corner of the living room, a game of cards was in full swing. Ankita sat at the table with three men, her expressions sharp and confident. She was winning and enjoying every bit of it. Tapan walked closer, watching quietly for a moment. Mind if I join? He asked. One of the men smiled, stood up, and offered his seat. The game resumed, and soon it was no longer a friendly round. It was a battle of focus and calculation. Ankita was good, but Tapan was sharper. For a while they traded wins, each studying the other. Then the final hand. Ankita claimed victory. Her eyes lit up, a mix of relief and pride. The others drifted away from the table, leaving her alone with Tapan. He leaned back slightly, impressed. Great, he said. You have got real experience with cards. Ankita blushed. Thanks. I bet you always defeat your friends at kitty party, he continued, casually but probing. No wonder Mrs. Bide wasn't happy with you yesterday. Ankita shook her head. Yes, I usually win, but that's not why she was rude that day. Tapan tilted his head. Then what was it? You can tell me. Every word you say stays safe with me. Ankita hesitated, lowering her gaze to the table. Mr. Bide and Kavya work in the same office. They are just friends. But Mrs. Bide thinks they are having an affair. That's why she dislikes Kavya. And since I was Kavya's friend, she dislikes me too. She began gathering cards quietly. At that moment, Kritika approached from behind. Tapan, she said softly, come with me for a moment. They stepped aside near the entrance. I have spoken with Mr. Bide, Kritika said. He's agreed to come in for interrogation tomorrow morning. Since he was close to Kavya, we might learn something important. Tapan nodded. Good. Let's see what he has to say. As they were about to sit in the car to leave, a sudden voice broke the calm of the night. Agent Kritika! Agent Kritika! They turned to see Mr. Lalita Bide rushing toward them, her face pale, breath uneven. Tapan and Kritika hurried to her. Mrs. Bide, what happened? Kritika asked. Lalita tried to speak, but her voice trembled. She gasped for air. Tapan quickly grabbed a bottle of water from the car and handed it to her. Here, take a sip, he said gently. After a few deep breaths, Lalita managed to speak. Asha, one of our kitty party members. She didn't come to Mrs. D'Souza's party tonight. So I went to check on her. Kritika nodded calmly. And what do you find? When I reached her house, I saw her crying. She lost her diamond necklace worth 20 lakhs. A heavy silence fell between them. Within seconds, Tapan and Kritika exchanged a knowing glance. No words needed. Both understood the urgency. They turned and rushed back toward the building. Asha lived the same society, just a few floors above. Tapan, Kritika, and Lalita hurried to the lift, the soft hum of elevator cutting through the tense silence. As the door opened to Asha's floor, the distant sound of sobbing echoed down the corridor. Another thread had just unraveled, and Tapan could feel it. One case had begun with a murder. Now theft was about to pull them deeper into the same tangled web. Tapan looked at Kritika. Looks like the night isn't over yet, he said, and they walked toward the sound.